Tight ship. Only Eric is gone.
Good morning. Good morning, morning.
Yeah, this was supposed to be on Tuesday. I told him this, that even when I, even when I put my notes on it, so do you think that Section wanted to clarify it, or? It's lawful either way, but I wanted to ask him what he wanted to do, or, yeah. They're gonna pull it and put it on regular.
The next closed session under group component.
Okay. Ready? You're on, oh, okay. Try again.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. Is everyone doing great today? Fantastic. I am.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Madera County, the meeting for the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, January 15th. We'll start by going into closed session. Are there any additions to the agenda? And then we'll have you read into closed session.
No additions to the agenda, Chairman, just a desire from staff to pull item I from the consent calendar to the regular calendar. It involves the record of survey examination fee, and just to make it a public, not consent item.
Does, would anyone like to move to pull that item I and put it onto the open or public session?
So Supervisor Wheeler, our vote links won't work on that because it's not in the system as a voting matter. And so we'll just have to do a verbal vote.
Motion that we pull item I out of consent, put it in regular session.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler? Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Rogers? Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
All right, closed session. If you can read those in.
Yes, Chairman, there's 3 items for closed session. The first is conference with labor negotiators. Your designated representative is Adrian Caleb. The employer organization is all units, and that's under Government Code Section 54957.6. The other is an existing litigation matter. Your legal counsel is here to discuss Constellation Brands U.S. operations versus the County of Madera. That's under Government Code 54956.9 subsection 1D. And the last is real property negotiations. The APN number is listed on the agenda, and it's off Highway 49 in the Awani area. Your agency negotiator is your county administrative officer, and under negotiations will be the price, terms, and conditions of a sale, exchange, or a lease.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on the closed session items? See none, I'll call it close to public comment, and we'll go into closed session.
Sound like a wiener.
Anthony? Welcome back, everybody. We're still under closed session. If we can have a report from our county council?
Yes, Chairman, there are no reportable actions from today's closed session.
Thank you. I'll call, then we're close out of closed session. It's 10 a.m. We'll open and close the meeting. Is there any supervisors that have anybody?
Is your green button on?
Huh?
I
Is your
said-
green button on?
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're both on. Can you hear me? No. That's on and that's on. Leroy back there.
Leroy. They're trying to.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Try again, Tom. Try again.
Now, is it working now? Not working, not working. It's working. Thing's gone.
Hello.
I sat there for 3 years and that thing stayed on the entire time.
We just have a suds to it. Anyway, George Walden up at Oakhurst passed away this week and weekend actually, and he's just, him and his wife Bev, they've done so much for so many different groups, especially the Mountain Fan Bear Club, and he played tennis almost to the day he died. He was, I think he was 84 or something, but he played tennis every day, stay in shape, and he can be missed. And hopefully Dee can keep moving on and stay up there in the mountains. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any other, anyone else? All right, now we'll have our invocation by Pastor David Doherty of the Harvest Community Church, and we'll be led in the flag salute by Melissa De Silva.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father God, thank you for Madera County Board of Supervisors. Watch over their families here in Madera. Thank you for our leaders. Bless them. Direct them to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with God. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now the public comment portion. Madam Clerk?
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Is there anyone who would like to make public comment at this time? Supervisor Wheeler?
Thank you very much. Get this thing working here. I just wanted to announce January 31st, I'll have my first town hall meeting of the year in Oakhurst at 6 o'clock at the Oakhurst Community Center. And we're finishing up the rest of the sites for the rest of the year, and it'll be on my webpage pretty shortly. Thank you.
Sounds good. Also, in that vein, I will have that morning at 8:30 at the Ranchos Cafe, my coffee and conversation on the 31st as well. Same day. Last Thursday of the month. Yeah. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll call close to public comment. We'll come to the consent calendar, and for those that weren't here at the beginning, we had voted to pull item I and place it onto the public session. So item I will not be voted on at this time. It will be heard in public session. Are there any questions on any consent calendar items?
Mr. Chairman, I have just like to pull item J. I just have a question on it.
Okay.
I got one on item H. I just wanted to congratulate Lois Betty. She's been on that cemetery board now for 32 years, and now starting on her 33rd. So if we pass it today.
All right. Do you want to take the discussion now, or you want to do it after the?
Oh, yeah, now it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, on the, it's talking about entering into amendment with Tetra Tech BAS Inc. For additional consultation services design emergency repair of the levees. And my question is just maybe just get some background on why it seems like this process is taking so long. It looks like we entered into the contract back on November 17th, 2015. And I have a feeling it has to do with bureaucratic issues and different agencies and things of that sort. But anyway, that's what my question is.
I think that.
The green light, the Stephanie and Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. So this is a grant from the state of California, from the Department of Water Resources. They've given us the money, and then there were additional constraints imposed by the state of California on us, which include a 408 and 404 permits, which cover things like endangered species, water quality, cultural resources, making sure there's not an archaeological site there. So there are additional requirements imposed by the state.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. It's too bad we don't have a high-speed rail route going through there because we get all this stuff waived, right? No comment, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to get started on this before there's new things that are put on too. Now there's a new legislature. All right. Are there any other items? If not, any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did it work? All right. Roll call. Oh, yeah.
See?
I voted.
So, call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Now it came back up at consent calendar. It is still. All right. It's not 10:30 yet. So yeah, item I.
Item I, Public Works Department Engineering Division, hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance to establish a record of survey examination fee.
Good morning. Feel better now?
Much better, thank you, Supervisor. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Adakyan, Public Works Director. This item was put from consent to be discussed. It's an ordinance to set the fee to be larger than $100. So by ordinance, we must do this via ordinance, and then all subsequent changes in the fee will be via resolution. So this will basically set it up in that manner. And that's how, this is in compliance with the code, the professional and business code of the state of California. And we're here for any questions.
County Council.
The Director Ahmad Al-Khayat addressed what I wanted to address, just that simply this is a one-time implementation ordinance, and any additional increases or changes to the fee can be done by resolution. That's always been done, and this matter is for adoption of the ordinance, so it's the second time it comes to you. But you covered that, thank you.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Yeah, I just wanted to, in case the public didn't look at it or nothing, that we are lowering almost every county.
You want to hit your button?
Oh, okay. I just wanted the public to know that if they didn't look at the backup, that our numbers that they came up with is actually lower than all of our neighboring counties except one. And so they're close to us, but the rest of them are all higher than us, so thank you.
Correct. It's about $100 less or a little, yes.
And it's less than what was being charged before. This is just to recoup the professional services from our county surveyors, correct?
Correct.
Which are, we are contracted, right? There's not just a county surveyor inside of the building. Is that correct? Okay. And this is what they bill?
It's
Plus
based on their billings plus our
Plus
county.
some, yeah. Are there any other questions? All right, I'll take it out to the public. Is there any public comment on this item?
Move to approve.
Seeing none, I'll call close to public comment and bring it back to the board for action.
I'll second.
I'm pushing that button, but it ain't working.
Rhonda?
Call for the
I
vote.
know, has it been released to be able to make the motion?
So I entered this real quick like while you guys, while the board was
Oh, that's right,
absent.
this one,
So I don't think it'll work.
yeah, that's right, okay. This is the only one that won't work because of the, it was on consent.
Right.
So, okay, roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Still not at 10:30, so we'll move to the public session, 7A.
7A, Fire Department, discussion and consideration of approval, transfer of appropriations number 18-075 in the amount of $100,000, transfer from Fire PNS-CDF contract to equipment, furniture, and small tools for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Chairman Frazier, Board of Supervisors. So we're requesting this amount of $100,000 be moved. Part of it is to provide a service trailer. A little over 50% of our equipment is up in the foothills mountain area. And this would allow us to drag a trailer up there and set it at a certain location. We'd be able to service the vehicles in the mountains without having to bring them all the way down to the valley. And what that does, that just reduces the drive time and us paying a paid call firefighter, because they'll drive the vehicle down. We'll have to let it sit, cool, so the mechanics can work on it. And then that PCF's at the shop, and they assist. And then as soon as that vehicle's ready, then they'll take it back up the hill. And so this rotation on these oil changes, we call it a B service. So it's every time we have to do a B service on a vehicle or a 90-day compliance, so at least every 90 days that vehicle's coming down to the valley. This will allow that trailer to be set in place for the week or so it takes them to do these inspections and oil changes. And we can set it up in a central location, whether in North Fork or Station 8, Chachansey, or Station 12, and they can bring those certain vehicles to that area. It reduces the amount of labor time, wear and tear on the vehicles. And with us kind of repurposing the shop, you know, with your guys' continued support with the equipment replacement plan, we're adding to the fleet, but it's also adding the workload of the shop. So last year, you guys approved a parts assistant for the shop, and that person's now in place functioning, which allows Ryan Knoll, our fleet manager, to actually be out in the field more, training the mechanics, and actually working on vehicles. So what we'd like to do as part of this money will be to purchase a utility box to go on the back of an existing vehicle to repurpose it. So, and then the outfit both of these with some minimal tools. So that costs us $100,000. If we looked at a full service vehicle that a service truck and the service trailer would do, if we bought new, it'd be about $240 just for that one vehicle. So we see this as a money saving, not only for the purchase of the vehicle, but also gets our mechanics a little more mobile and out in the field for a little over 50% of our vehicles. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Supervisor Wheeler, if your
Yeah,
microphone is,
stupid thing. That's a great idea, and I mean, that really saves that county. We have that for our equipment too, so we do that. The main thing on that trailer, you're gonna have air compressor and everything on it too?
Yeah, it has a clean oil tank, has an empty
Dirty
tank
oil
for dirty
tank,
oil, has air,
antifreeze tank.
has
So-
DEF, you know, because all these new vehicles take that urea, so it
Yeah.
has DEF storage on there. And
Air
it has a
grease
little
gun?
bit of- Yep, all that, and a little bit of diesel fuel. That way, if there was an incident, we're out on a structure fire, or vegetation fire for long hours, they could actually bring that trailer out and fuel the vehicles without us having to leave.
That's absolutely great, I tell you. I can't tell you how much money that'll save us, and that extra hour of, or probably hour and 15, 30 minutes to drive down compared to a car. So we're a win-win situation on that. So thank you guys very much for coming up with that.
any other
That
questions?
was all Ryan's idea with the service trailer. He did all the
Thank you,
research
buddy.
on it, and it'll be a very nice unit for the county. And, you know, we can support if there's other broke-down vehicles, you know, because Ryan also does a service on the sheriff's department, large vehicles, just because we're
Yeah,
one of the
that's
only
great.
departments that can service
Take it right over to
those.
the Oakhurst substation, and if you look at almost all these construction companies, whatever roads they're working on, they had, when they were doing 49 about 6 months ago, they had 2 of those trucks because they had a lot of equipment and one of them had a trailer, and they just drive right up to the grader or the cat or whatever they're doing, service it and went right on. So it's a win-win deal, I tell you. So thank you.
Now, would it, so also, like, you can bring it out to vehicles that are broke down or is this just for regular service?
This would typically be for maintenance, but it's also, you know, the service truck is going to function for field repairs. I think the tow bills, and I approved claims yesterday for the month of December, I think we had like $2,400 in tow bills. We had a rough couple months.
So it'll be cheaper to tow this out.
Yeah, they can hook it to the service vehicle. It's under the 10,000 pounds, so it doesn't require a special driver's license or hazmat endorsement. And so it's something they can drag out to the field if needed or set it up in a central location and service in place.
Sounds perfect. Are there any other questions? So I'll take it out to the public. Anybody, any members of the public wishing to make comment on this? See none, I'll call close to the public comment, bring it back to the board for
I'm
action.
trying to do it again, but it ain't working. And this is on the agenda. Yours working? Try it.
That must be a motion. I'll make a second.
Is there a way to turn down the microphones or something that?
Is it a dimension? Is it has a space? It was timeless as infinity. So it's a twilight zone.
Too hot.
Yeah. Can you turn them down a little bit?
The mics are too hot. Getting rainy and-
So I think if everyone on your touch screen, if you were all mute your mic unless you're talking, and then just unmute it when you want to talk. Let's see if that will help with the feedback. So on your screen, on your touch screen, you should have a X and a knot, and let's see if that helps a little bit. Otherwise, we'll call the vendor with all the feedback problems today.
That's better already.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second, roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Red arrow. Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes. Actually, I said yes, but what happened was there was some noise from over here that noise from over here that drowned out my yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you for your continued support of our department.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you sore?
I'm having trouble walking.
We crashed once?
7B,
7B, Water and Natural Resources Department, sale of unreleased restoration flows. 1, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving agreement number 19-WC-20-5345 for the purchase of unreleased restoration flows from the Bureau of Reclamation and authorizing the chairman of the board to execute the URF agreement and providing for further authorization. 2, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with the United States Department of Interior Bureau of Reclamation for sale of unreleased restoration flows and authorize the chairman to sign.
Stephanie Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources again. As you know, we have a contract supply with the Bureau of Reclamation. It's a small supply of 200 acre-feet per year. It's for use at Hidden Lake Estates. Because we have that supply, we're also eligible for unreleased restoration flows. So this is a contract that allows us to purchase them up to 25 acre-feet at $20 an acre-foot, a bargain price. They do release different classes and the price can increase. The funds, once we purchase the water from the Bureau of Reclamation, we can then use it at Hidden Lake Estates or we can sell it to another Friant contractor like Chowchilla Water District or Madera Irrigation District.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, that was one of the things that wasn't in the backup. It wasn't in the backup what it was going to do with it, and how much does Hidden Lakes Estates use? I mean, is that all their only water?
That is their water supply.
Oh, that's right, they chug it out and take it up those tanks up there out of Millerton.
I think so.
Yeah,
And so they
that's right.
typically use about 50 acre-feet per year. So there's extra water available within the main part of the supply.
Okay.
Plus, we have the unreleased restoration flows,
All
plus
right.
215 water.
That's one I inherited from him.
Yeah, that's if they were to, at full build out, every single lot in there, it was gonna be around 200 acre feet
Oh, okay.
of water per year, and so that's where that number came from, but with the number of homes that are there, they only use between 40 and 50.
50 right now? Okay.
And in the past, we were only taking the amount that needed and not any of that extra 150 acre feet or 160 acre feet. So we were not utilizing the contract the way that it was supposed to be doing, and so now we are.
Beautiful.
Taking every every drop of water that is available to us needs to come in, whether it's 25 acre feet or
One, right.
or half.
Yeah,
So,
we need to get it all in. Also, then that means that we can sell it to anybody, right?
no, it has to be.
We can sell it to a Friant contractor.
Oh, fine, contractor.
Yes,
Oh,
and
okay.
there
Well,
are
that's
some
almost
high-level
anybody.
discussions going on about that right now, because ideally, we would be able to get that directly to the folks in the county-managed areas, the white
Right.
areas, but that is not allowed under their current contract. It has to go to a Friant
Well, I'd
contractor.
look into that because that would really
Mm-hmm.
help us if we ever get more of these recharge basins and stuff, so, thank
We
you.
can keep it for ourselves, right, and recharge it
Right.
ourselves.
That's what I meant, that's
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah, that's perfect.
leading to.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yeah, either way, the water we bring in helps us with our GSP. And we need to take every ounce of water available to us. I understand that in 215 water, when available, we're eligible for up to 100,000 acre feet. And so I believe that,
200 acre foot contract.
yeah, because of of our contract. So as a result of that, when water is available, we need
Grab it.
that cheap. We need to purchase it and get it wheeled to places where it can be recharged, utilized, and at cost. And that's my opinion.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, so what, if, say we got 200 acre feet, can we use it for recharging? Would that be
Yes.
acceptable
Yes,
under
we
the front
can.
context?
Although I will say there are different understandings of the contract and how it works. So the strict interpretation is you could only use it at Hidden Lake Estates, but there are other interpretations, which we're in the process of furthering,
Okay.
that the place of use would be countywide. And that's ideally what we need.
I think that'd be really good to look, research that and come up with that, because we could really take advantage of that when we have these things.
Yeah, the contract says that it's to the benefit of Hidden Lakes Estate MD1, and that's that 200 acre
Yes.
feet. So if that's, if their uses are,
Less.
or satisfied, then, any of the, they couldn't take 100,000 acre feet of 215.
I don't know, but that just cost you $10, boss. You might as well open up your wallet.
Got free water.
I have never heard that,
That ring?
that ring ever in my life. That's why I was looking around thinking that it was going to be.
Yeah, I think it was Dave, huh? Yeah.
It's an Amber, is it an Amber Alert? It's an Amber Alert, probably.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's alert. What is it here?
See, I care. Yeah. So yeah, but if we could take that water and wheel it through, and I think you could make the case that any proceeds could then go back to MD1 that's still for their benefit, whether it's the water or proceeds from the sale of the water.
Well done.
Is how you can make that benefit.
That's right. If we sold that water, they get the money.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
If there's a profit.
right.
Right.
That's
Supervisor Rodriguez?
interesting.
That's my.
You know, I think it's not a no-brainer here, because any water available should be purchased by the county for our use, and seeing the situation that we're in, and if water's available, hey, let's do it. The price is right. We have the money. Let's do it.
If you stay on top of that, it'd be really good, and see what we
Yeah.
can further expand this.
Yes.
That's why I brought this off of consent calendar to
Absolutely.
here, so that we could have a larger policy discussion as to, what do we want to do when water's available to us? And I think that does everyone seem to agree that we want to take whatever we can get?
Yeah, I want to,
Yeah.
one more time here.
Oh, Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, I'd like to also see staff through this process when the water's available, we
purchase it, we get it wheeled. There's an administrative cost involved in getting that done, the wheeling cost, and we sell the water to MID or CWD, or even Triangle T, which could also purchase it. And they have been doing a fantastic job with recharge. An increment involved in that could be set aside, and a case could be made that is for future purchases for Hidden Lakes. And an increment can be set aside in an account, and we could build that account up for the purchase of water.
Charge a wheeling fee and then have that
Right.
money build up to buy.
Not a huge amount, but enough to offset the ability to continue to buy larger amounts of water. And I think that would be a good thing to do, to budget into the process.
Yeah, I think the first purchase that we had done of it actually was wheeled through to Chowchilla Irrigation District. Is that right?
I think twice we've sold
Twice,
water
yeah.
to Chowchilla Water
So
District.
that's water that is going into the ground or being used to offset pumping
Right.
in the Chowchilla area and different areas. So
Fantastic.
So yeah. Is there any other further questions from the board? If not, I'll take it out to the public. Is there any public comment? Seeing none,
I move to approve.
Second?
we have a motion and a second. Yeah, it's
It's not working.
roll call, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
So, do you see, this was, you're not going to be last. Look, there's one more behind you, and it's only because we didn't get to 10:30 yet. But we're getting there. All right. Welcome. We'll have to wait for 2 minutes.
6A, Community and Economic
Oh,
Development.
we're going to wait, we have to wait 2 minutes because we're not at 10:30 yet. I know it's close. Oh, we can go to legislation, pending legislation. Is there any pending legislation?
You can't, you have to wait. You can't start until-
Supervisor reports. Supervisor Poitras.
I attended 2 CAPMC meetings last week, and there were 2 others, but I don't recall what they were. I didn't get a chance. I was going to write them down, but.
EDC.
EDC, yeah, 2 EDC meetings. Yeah, there you go. I knew it was 2 and 2.
Supervisor Rodriguez.
Yeah, Saturday, we had about 300 people walk through Yosemite from social services to the park. They call it Walk for Christ. And it's a lot of churches that get together once a year. And we walk through the park, and there, when we get there, then they have a lot of prayers. It's a good event, it's good for the soul.
Yeah.
And it's held once a year, so I try to attend it every year. Have been doing it for about the last 10 years. Good event.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, I attended the Joint Powers Authority for the San Joaquin Valley Water San Joaquin Valley Water Infrastructure Authority. It's a big old $9 word.
Easy for you to say.
Anyway, yeah. One of the things that is happening there is we are making our transition on the Temperance Flat Dam project to, with an MOU with the users and the water authorities that are involved in the actual process. So they're going to make a determination as to whether or not they're going to use that $177 million that the state offered under Prop 1. They may use part of it, or they may use all of it. It just depends. The programming that was put in place under the application would be the same programming basically that would be going forward. If that changes, there'll be a consultation with each of the counties in regards to the change of any change made by the state in the programming on that. Basically, the liabilities going forward would be on the new JPA. The previous liabilities would be on the old JPA and not connected with any of the counties, even though they're part of the organization. So you can't, in other words, somebody can't come and sue and say the counties are responsible for this. So are there any questions on that?
This is for that project that has no public benefit, right?
Yeah, the one they're saying had no public
Yeah,
benefit.
that's what I thought, yeah.
Amazing. And yet we lose 500,000 acre feet per year on an average released out to the ocean, uncaptured, unfettered, which would be fantastic to put back into the ground in every county. And I'm talking about flood releases, not normal flows. These are over and above normal flows, or operational or environmental. All of that being taken care of, we still lose the 500,000 acre feet per year on average to these flows.
Maybe the oceans aren't raising due to global warming, but it's because we're releasing all this water back
Good
out
point.
into it.
Good point, Dr. Fraser.
Don't quote me on that one. I don't know how scientific that was. Yeah. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, I just thank you guys for signing all those certificates for the Course Code Chamber. They had their annual installation and celebration of the business, volunteer, and of the year awards. And I handed out to Assemblyman Bigelow showed up, and Andreas Borges's new assistant showed up. So it was a great event. They sold it out, and it was a great event. And so thank you guys for doing that.
And I just wanted to thank all of you for wearing bow ties last week. I was very touched by it. I appreciate your support. I had gone to the San Joaquin River Conservancy, had a 4-hour meeting. We're back to square one, back to starting over at either 1 or 5B. It was a state versus local, but one local defected. And so now we're back to square one, and it'll be lawsuits, and it'll take forever. What I did say after I calmed down a little bit was, well, regionally this is sad, but for Madera County this is actually a pretty good thing, because we're the only ones that's going to have planned river access, and we can achieve that much quicker than it will be done there. At the end of the 4 hours, I got a parking ticket.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That happened to me once at a Fresno planning deal.
Yeah.
That, I can't believe this, our local Madera City councilman voted no on that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
Shocked me.
I don't think he's that familiar with that project.
Well, I know, but you should not even do something that drastic without knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm going to call him after, so.
Supervisor Fraser, we might also want to point out that the refreshments served this last week were not paid for by the county.
Oh, yeah, the refreshments last week were paid for out of our pockets, not, there was no county dollars spent on that. And thank you to Melissa for putting that all together.
Yes.
We finally got a coffee bar inside of the county building.
And it was good.
How successful was it?
It was very successful. Sold out. All right, CEO?
No report, Chairman.
No
Madam Clerk?
report, Chairman.
All right, now that we're after 10:30, and thank you for bearing through that. We just wanted an audience when we talk about ourselves, so thank you. We'll go on to the public hearing, item 6A.
6A, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Hearing to consider adoption of a resolution approving the final mobility studies for Lavina and Parkwood communities as part of the 15 CDBG 10573 grant.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Robert Mansfield from your Planning Department. Joining me is Matt Traber, Planning Director, Kamara Biawogi, also from the Planning Department, and from Four Creeks, Aaron Carpenter. What's before you started as a part of the 15 CDBG grants that we were awarded in 2015. It was one of 3 components, and this is called a Planning Technical Assistance Grant, which provides finances to jurisdictions to perform studies for potential further activities moving forward in low-income communities. The purpose of the Plan Technical Assistance Grants in this case were to perform, was referred to as a mobility study in both the communities of Lavinia and Parkwood. All funds were paid through this particular grant. No general funds were touched in that manner. In that regard, I will now hand it over to Aaron from Four Creeks, who will take you through what we did on this particular study.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning, supervisors. Again, we'll go through what the initial steps of what our research and our community meetings, and then how we compiled our report that you have before you, and also outline some of the funding sources that we identified for possible implementation of this feasibility study if you so approve. A quick overview of our team, assortments of staff from the county along with our planning and engineering team, both civil engineers and traffic engineers. Just a quick overview. Again, the purpose of the study, based on what Robert had talked about, the money for this study come from the CDBG program, and the county specifically identified these two communities. This is skipping back and forth, sorry. These two communities as target areas for improvement in their traffic, specifically for pedestrian and cycling safety. The target goals for this study when we implement it, if we implement it, would be to increase safety for pedestrians and cyclists, increase quality of life. We also wanted to identify potential grant sources, and wanted to do all this within the context of Madera County's general plan. A side note, there would be additional plans, studies that would be required once grant funding is either identified or acquired to be able to implement the improvements, the civil drawings likewise. Just a quick overall schedule. We started off doing our data collection and base mapping, and then conducted surveys. We sent out mailers to everyone in the area. They were able to respond. We had a decent response rate as far as surveys go. It was probably under 10%, which under 10% for, it's not great, but that's for a mail response. So again, you don't base a whole lot of information or give a lot of credence to that, but it's still a good way to hear general feedback. The better way to do it, and we had some community meetings throughout this whole process to better understand what the real issues are in those communities in terms of traffic safety. And through those workshops, along with our traffic engineers and planners doing field visits, we were able to identify some of the issues with the area, and from that put together some concept designs. And with those designs, we sent it back for more public comment, just not officially public comment, but to make sure we were hitting the target that we set out. And from that, we drafted our feasibility study. Again, that's what is before you today. And once we have an approved final report, that's when we can start looking for possible funding through grants. We'll kind of gloss through these next slides pretty quickly, just looking at what we were looking at, both what was identified by communities as well as by Four Creeks. Speed was a major factor for both communities. Residential lots facing or fronting right onto major roads, oftentimes conflicting with large semi-trucks. Visibility is also a major issue, along with poor road conditions. And there were roughly 3 different areas areas that we wanted to focus on for improving traffic conditions. One of those would be how to reduce traffic speeds. One of those ideas was implementing these curb bulb outs, and that was a popular choice. Not just to have signs out, but to also have something, a physical barrier that will literally make a motorist feel like he needs to slow down. Other traffic implementations, having improved pedestrian and bicycle access, trails and bike lanes. Another pedestrian crossing designs. It's noted in this study that most of the intersections have long crossing distances, and there are different ways to reduce those distances to increase safety. We'll get into Parkwood's design concepts. We are proposing to make improvements throughout what I'll refer to as Pecan Avenue. Correct me if it's Pecan. I don't want to start any lingo wars here, but
It just depends on where you live in the state, I think.
okay, great. I'll say Pecan. I'm from Illinois. I'll switch back and forth. Sorry. So this intersection with Madera and Pecan Avenue is developed on every corner but the southeast corner, which is where the gas service station is located. It's probable that with any new development in this section that improvements to that intersection would be required. That's not an official statement, but a conjecture that we would have that we recognize that this intersection, this particular corner, is underdeveloped and poses safety concerns for pedestrian traffic.
You know, I take offense to that because it's obvious my 3-year-old daughter drew those crosswalks, where they're at and how they're located. I mean, look at it, it's pretty bad. You can just see it pretty easily there.
Yeah, yeah.
Crooked.
It's crooked.
Unbelievable.
And that goes back to that intersection, or that corner is not developed to the current standards.
So does the Pecan run north and south?
My apologies, it's an east-west street.
Okay, because you're on the wrong corner there, and I'm thinking that ain't gonna work. Thank you.
Did I misspeak? I'm sorry if I confused you.
You said it was the southeast corner.
East-west.
It is.
Okay, so Pecan runs north then?
No, so you see, Madera Avenue runs north and south,
All right.
so it'd be the bottom right corner. Is
Well, it's
that
developed there, so that building.
southeast? But you see where there's the little gray overlay on it? That would be where that, right there.
If I may, Supervisor Wheeler, the site is developed. What was being discussed was the fact that the sidewalks, crosswalks are undeveloped
Okay.
on the
Because
front
I
edge.
was looking across the street there, that looked like it was undeveloped.
Yeah, the property
picture.
to the north is correct, is undeveloped.
Okay.
But the statements were regarding the frontage, sidewalks, curbs, and those aspects.
Thank you for that clarification. Another intersection that we recognized could use some improvement was at Conrad and Pecan. We proposed doing a curb extension with bulb outs as well to shorten those crossing distances. Part of our cost estimate too, which I'll get to later on, was to regrade Conrad Street from Pecan down to Perkins, I believe. The storm drain infrastructure is lacking, and there's a lot of excessive flooding of the street that could use some improvement. Similarly, at Watt Street on Pecan, we would reduce those crossing distances along with updated lighting, pedestrian signals, and also at Raymond Thomas Street. Some of the constraints that we had to deal with were the existing right-of-way and understanding that the sidewalks aren't developed on Avenue 13 on the south portion of the right-of-way. So that would take paving of sidewalk across people's front yards. There are ways around this, of course. But again, just providing a conceptual design of how we could handle this. Similarly, we didn't want to propose a complete regrading of the entire street based on costs, so we kept the center line as is, as existing pavement, including, and again, I'm not a traffic engineer or a civil engineer, but if we were to, do a simple reseal of this street, we may be able to cut costs in that way. So this configuration, we have the existing right-of-way along with the proposed right-of-way. On the north side of Pecan, it's unmarked, kind of. You're not sure, is that 2 lanes? Is that parking? So we would designate those areas with a little more clarity. And so we have parking adjacent to the already built-out landscape strip with meandering sidewalk. And we would include a bicycle lane class 2 with the existing travel lanes, and then parking for the residents on street.
So, do I have this right, that half of the street is owned, or is in the city of Madera's right of way, and half of it is ours?
That is correct at that location, Supervisor Frazier, that the city on the north side of the street, that is within city jurisdiction. The southern portion is the county. So it would take cooperation and working with the city on this concept, certainly, moving forward.
We'll move on to Lavina now, and I'll speed this up. Similar design concepts were identified as, let me go back. I'm sorry, I'm jumping. So the overall design costs that were identified in our cost estimate was around $1.5 million for full improvements. We can break those up as needed. And our funding sources also identified different ways that we can do it all at once or try to break it up and go piecemeal with that. And now for Lavina. Similar issues as with Parkwood. Poorly identified locations for what a motorist or a pedestrian perceive the right-of-way to be. So a lot of these designs include restriping and making more clear boundaries. So this particular intersection is at Road 24 and Avenue 9. That's the Lavina Market on the northeast corner. We would propose all intersections, if not a few key identified, maybe 2 or 3 would suffice for improvement that would drastically improve pedestrian access to the market, which is one of the few walkable locations or destinations for the community members of Lavina. And the other destination would be the school, and we'll talk about that later. The 2 intersections, Paraiso and Venus Street, are also identified for improvement. There's a mid-block crossing on the north side of the right-of-way, again, to shorten those crossing distances. Some of the major issues, aside from high speeds, were also uncontrolled parking. If you've been out there on a school day, you will see it's a parking lot and not a whole lot of control. So we would propose parallel parking paint as well. Again, this is the existing right-of-way with our proposed right-of-way. We didn't want to move center line to save costs. If we see when we get into our engineering designs, not necessarily for Creeks, whoever bids that out, it may be more cost effective to scrap the whole thing and move center line to make it work, but we don't want to necessarily mess with the crown. So those were our parameters we wanted to work in. So we would be adding class 2 bicycle lanes and develop a sidewalk on the north side of Avenue 9, along with the controlled parking. This is the intersection of, oh my goodness, I believe Road 23 and Avenue 9. It is the intersection that connects the community with the local school to the southwest. This was a location that was identified as, or this route was identified by community members as unsafe, and if they're late for school, they'll just stay home as opposed to walking or riding their bike to school. It's only a mile away, and we wanted to identify different ways to make this route safe. Understanding some of the constraints a mile long of road improvements for a path is substantial, so we were looking at more cost-effective ways. Later on, if Safe Routes to Schools wants to be an identified grant source, we can update these sorts of improvement plans. And finally, looking at improvements to the parking and crossing at the Lavina Elementary School. Estimated cost was around $2.5 million. And again, both these communities, when grant sources are identified, updated cost estimates should be provided. These are just ballpark figures to help contextualize what these improvements could possibly cost. And then some of our funding sources that we identified included FAST Act funding for improvements along Avenue 9, Tiger Program funding for the intersection of Road 24, Avenue 9, CDBG money along with SB1 funding. Again, there's a lot out there, and some of them are familiar funding sources, some new ones as well. With that, we'll take some questions.
If I could just add briefly, Chairman and members of the board, We do have Tristan here as well, and Tristan and I have spoke. We have a meeting already scheduled on these projects to start gearing up towards the implementation of these studies. Far too often, I know a number of agencies prepare a number of these mobility studies, and the community does a lot of work and comes out and works with us, as does staff, and it goes on a shelf and collects dust for a decade. And it's time that we start moving towards trying to implement this work. A lot of good things came out of the studies, a lot of good interaction with the community, and working with ourselves and Public Works and Tristan to really look towards trying to identify some funding sources and actually get improvements in the ground out there for these communities would be a key point moving forward. That's just my 2 cents, and we're available for any questions.
I agree. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, thank you. Great report. Excuse me. On page 16, the Conrad Street improvement, $5.5 million, 515. Is that for raising the street too? Is that everything that you put on your report?
I would want to double check the actual cost estimate matrix that we provided to confirm with that, and I can follow up with you after this.
Okay, because I was wondering that for all the other stuff you had to do and then still going to raise the street up, that seemed a little low. That's why I was just wondering. Go a couple of rows. And the CDBG grants, have we already put in this year for those?
We did not apply for any grants this calendar year, 2018, but we anticipate having another funding round within probably the next 6 months.
Because they have that every year, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Why didn't we have no projects last year to put in for, or what?
So if I may, Supervisor Wheeler, requirements with CDBG, and we did meet with Tristan and go over that. If you recall, just recently, within the last 4 months, we were awarded $1 million from CDBG grant funds in the 17. And in order to comply and be awarded for additional, you've had to have expended a portion of that, up to 50% of those funds. So in looking at it, we said, hey, let's focus on the $1 million grant we just received, expend those funds, and then proceed with CDBG, as Robert said, in the next 6 to 9 months on the next round there. So it was a concerted effort. We didn't just throw it in a trash can. We looked at it, and we have substantial amount of dollars and money out there for home improvement loans and those things that we're working towards expending as a part of the grant programs.
Okay. And then, Aaron, when you do the front page again, pick something in from Madera. I don't know where that's from. Looks like New York City or something.
It's from Madera.
Yeah, where? Mayor, where at? Tell me.
I'll talk to our marketing team about that.
Yeah, thank you. When you do something in some county or city, you got to use their pictures, not from New
Supervisor
York City.
Poitras?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple questions. Number one, thank you for the presentation. I thought it was really, really good and the work product. Looking at, not to exclusion of Lavina, but just kind of specifically looking at Parkwood, since it's a community that's in the county on the edge of the city, and we're in process of, moving Parkwood under the auspices of the city. Looking at Road Repair and Accountability Act, SB1, for funding along Madera Avenue and Avenue 13, is there some leverage that we can get working with the city of Madera, because this is going to be in their best interest as well as the county and overall the residents? Is there some kind of, something that we can get there with us working together?
Yes, Supervisor Poitras, very good point. Absolutely, any work associated with the Parkwood mobility, we would be working with the city of Madera on as well. and making sure they're plugged in and leveraging any available dollars and funds. I believe certainly in the conversations and the discussions, and the city's aware of the work that's been done out there. There was agreements in the past about trying to improve the street network and the street grid system out there in anticipation of the city assuming the responsibility of that. This is just another layer of that. We would absolutely be leveraging that relationship. Public Works had done a grant program through CDBG as well that we were awarded in resurfacing a number of the streets out there in Parkwood in partnership and working with the city, so we would continue that absolutely.
I just know we worked really well when we laid siege on Caltrans last year and met with them as a group, and so I thought that was really a good effort. And the other thing is, I noticed you talk about the Tiger programs, funding improvements, and it seems like there's a lot of communities that get Tiger funding, and it seems like I know Bakersfield received some Tiger funding recently, as well as Stanislaus County. In the prior administration, I know they had some key congressmen, McCarthy, of course, and then Denham, that were able to lead the charge on that. I know that Congressman Costa, he's really proud of the $20 million or $15 or $20 million he got for the Fulton project and Tiger funds, and I think that we should use this as, get him on board in regards to this Tiger funding and say, hey, we've got some, a disadvantaged community here. We need this funding. Congressman, this would be, I think, a real feather in your cap to show not only do you look at the larger cities, but you care about the smaller cities in your district. Anyway, just a comment. Thank you.
Supervisor, did you take yours off?
No.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
That was a great comment, Supervisor Poitras, and given our success with CDBG, and we continually do receive grants in CDBG, a good approach, depending on, of course, the level of staffing we have and availability and all that, but to develop some shovel-ready type projects that we would have in our pocket, and we could keep those funds moving through the system and expended as fast as we receive them on a shovel-ready project would be a really excellent way to take advantage of what comes in and to be able to apply for more. So that's just a thought. I know our roads department would pave as fast as we could get them the material, because I know this because that's what they tell me. If you get me the material, we'll do it. And so this would be an excellent opportunity to take advantage of those kind of things and set up interdepartmental work that would flow right out, move that money.
It's definitely a good point, Supervisor. Talking on points of shovel-ready projects, especially with the Department of Housing and Community Development, they do, as part of their review of applications, do award, shall we say, bonus points, if you will, if we actually have something ready to go. Saying, here's the basic plans, here's everything ready, we're ready to go. They'll definitely say, yeah, great going. Right. A perfect example is the street improvement projects that Matt mentioned earlier as part of one of our grants.
Right.
We had that as a back burner project, brought forward, said we're ready to go, here it is, and we were able to get the fundings for it. Excellent. Right then and there. And
so we've utilized that before. That's good. Yeah, that's good. And I think we could probably do it with, we've got enough school projects around schools. I know Dixieland, we've got Howard, we've got schools everywhere that the transportation system really underserves those areas, and they need improvement. And this is the kind of stuff that Tiger is looking for, and that Safe Routes to School and CDBG would plug into immediately. And so if we can use that as a basis, maybe we've got a good hub from which to spread. It's a really good idea.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, and I loved what you said, Matt, about how many communities come forward, they get these mobility studies, and then shelve them, and they just sit up there, and nobody, there's no benefit to it. And so if you do that enough times, 10% is probably high for how many times these communities have been studied and then nothing happened after. And we can't continue to do that. And so I would say that we should have some kind of a natural workflow or progression from, planning starts the process, gets the document, then it goes to Public Works to then implement the process. And that, and then kind of Tristan coordinating the grants for the planning, then the grants for the implementation through wherever it needs to go. But have that set up so that there is just a natural progression that we know how it goes through, so that we can continue to deliver these projects. You guys continue to plan it, then they build it. And I don't know, every other year, or if it's 2 years and then 2 years to the implementation, and during that 2 years, you're thinking about the next place you want to go and develop. And I think then we can actually start moving a lot of these things through, but have that natural progression. And I don't know if there's like where you guys all get together. I know you talk on a regular basis, but you work on these projects, and the Public Works tells you if they can build them what they want to do, and then have that kind of a committee to work through so that it's set, it's ready to go, and we're turning and burning, actually creating projects. And if we start doing that, we start delivering some of these. Like, these seem like they're doable, right? This isn't coming with like this, $10-20 million price tag.
Some low-hanging fruit.
We're like, oh, that's a pretty shelf item, right? These are things that we can actually accomplish with or without the help of some of these grants. Obviously, we want to, but if we need to start saving and putting aside to deliver it, but they know that it's going to come, it's just going to come in 5-10 years, whatever it is, then we do that. But moving these forward, and we'll start to get much bigger turnouts to these things, because they know that we're going to act, right? That'll build trust between us and the residents out there, and that's been lacking because, like I said, they've been studied and then nothing happens, and those days are over. Supervisor Poitras.
Mr. Chairman, just to tag on to that, perhaps we could make these projects a subset of an operational priority, so that it doesn't have to be every quarter, but maybe every 6 months, we just briefly hit on, how's everything coming along Levine and Parkwood?
That's a great idea. Yeah. So that this is a public hearing. I'll open the floor to the public. Anybody from the public wish to make comment? Seeing none, I'll call it closed to public comment and bring it back to the board. Barb? I want to.
Name's Bar Kohlberg, Madera County resident. Question, you were talking about Tiger. I'm not quite sure what Tiger funds are.
Federal transportation.
Federal transportation?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that can be used on schools, like elementary schools? We've got some elementary schools that are just begging for accidents to occur. Imagine, if you will, this is the school site. Most schools have a pickup or a drop-off on one side and the opposite drop-off or pickup on the other side of the school campus. That's what a lot of the Madera Unified has moved to. There's a particular school that I'm thinking of out in the Ranchos area that everything is off of Ruth, which is the South Street, going east-west, and nothing happening up here. Are those funds available for something like that?
That might be safe routes to schools.
Or are there other funds that are available?
Yeah, they have actually 2 drop-off and pickup sites on the same side that's just big, like, you enter right here and exit right here as someone else is entering right here. It was terribly designed, and there are some issues there, but that would be safe routes to schools, is that?
That's correct, Chairman. There are a number, Safe Routes to School comes to mind initially. Tiger is typically for large-scale, $20 million type projects, or not necessarily, it's not locked into a minimum dollar amount, but something like you've described there really plugs well into a Safe Routes to School, where there is program funding to provide safer routes to elementary, junior high, high school sites.
Because I'm thinking about this particular one because it's in the grand jury's report last year, specifically Ruth Avenue. And I believe one of the major hindrances is cost. Who's going to front the cost, the district or the county? And if it's the county, where's the money going to come from? So is there some type of somebody who can?
Yeah, we'll work on maybe a mod, and we can get together with the new superintendent out there and start working on one of those. But we can't talk too much about that individual project since it's not noticed on here. So
There's a similar situation at Miranda School. It's very similar.
you want to know why? They were built at the exact same time. Brenda looks exactly like Webster.
Yep.
They were designed exactly the same way, and there's problems with both of them. So.
Yep.
A lot of schools were designed that way. Several of them have been rectified by creating a pickup zone on the opposite end of the campus. So
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other public comment? If not, I was told I can bang the gavel and call close to the public hearing. That was fun to do. And bring it back to the board for action, and I liked Supervisor Poitras's idea of the regular updates for it too. Oh, Max.
Well, yeah, we were talking about the crosswalks there at Parkwood. We've had a lot of complaints about installing crosswalks there for the kids across at 13. But the problem is that on 13, one side doesn't have sidewalks. So that disqualifies either the school district or the county from putting crosswalks there because we don't have sidewalks on the other side. Maybe we could look into that problem there.
Very good point, Supervisor Rodriguez, and the study did look at that and did identify that segment of needing sidewalks in addition to that crosswalk enhancement there too.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yeah, I did have one question I failed to answer or ask earlier. I'm not a real fan of speed bumps, but I am a fan of, there's another type of a system. Maud, help me out. What's the name of those? They're transition, they bring the speed down, allow you to continue at a reasonable rate of speed, but it brings the speed down. You have to cross over them like at 30 miles an hour. I can't remember the name of it, but.
Speed bumps.
They're not really speed
No,
bumps.
I think I understand what you're saying, and the study did talk about, they're kind of, they do act similar to, but they're elongated, they're much wider than your typical, foot wide speed bump there. The study did look at that, and I think some of the descriptions showed that, and kind of a raised level, slight transition there.
Appropriate in areas where you have long distances and pedestrian traffic. I'd like to see some of that maybe in a few places like Varden is one of those, but you got a long distance, people are just picking up speed and they need to be brought down, and those really work. They allow people to go the speed limit and cross over the bump.
Tom, what do you call those, rumble, or what do you call it?
Rumble strips?
Rumble strips?
Yeah.
Truncated domes or rumbles?
Yeah, the rumble strips are for the side of the road to keep you in the.
Changing lanes.
Yeah,
Right.
changing lanes.
But they could also be
Well,
used to slow you down a little bit.
I just follow all major traffic
Rules,
and
except parking.
except park. Yeah, except for parking.
Wish everybody did.
All right, it's back with the board for action.
I made a motion, waiting for a second.
Second.
Make a motion to approve this
Did that,
item.
did that include the regular updates?
Yep, regular updates and all of ours processes.
Oh, all right. Well done.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, and before everybody leaves, I had one more item for my supervisor report, and I think it's, when it falls on a day like today, I think we should all sing Supervisor Poitras' happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Robbie. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. Don't you love in that song how a single syllable name can go ra-ah, you know, it's just extended?
It brought tears to my eyes for a lot of reasons.
Mine
And
too.
blood to your ears, yeah. That,
Thank you, everybody.
With that, I will call a close to this board meeting.